Hey yo, what is up everyone? It is the AlphaJay of the AlphaJay Show, and this has been long overdue. Well, you read the title, so let's get into it. The only thing that I want to say is that this list only is limited to review number 50 and everything before that. So my verses of The Loud House and My Life as a Teenage Robot all the way up to Code Lyoko, those don't make the cut. Next year when I do this though, then it will make the cut. Number 20, Fairy OddParents, Fool's Day Out. Cosmo's laughs are the highlight of this episode.
Oh, a chocolate syrup squirting flowers! Oh, it's a classic! What's up with that?
Fool's Day Out is a very underrated episode of Fairy OddParents. In fact, it is the second best April Fool's episode that I've seen and reviewed. I would really recommend everyone to go check it out. I know a lot of people have been tainted by Fairy OddParents Season 10, but to understand why a lot of us are upset, we need to go back and appreciate how great Fairy OddParents used to be before it came back from its hiatus. Number 19, Powerpuff Girls, 3 Girls and a Monster. That moment alone made this episode my favorite so far. Again, I feel like we should focus less on how the reboot doesn't really meet our expectations and go back and appreciate some of these great episodes from Powerpuff Girls. 3 Girls and a Monster really demonstrated that you don't need a complex story or a story arc. All you need is superheroes and a supervillain and some great drum and bass music, and you can make a great episode. I really commend the writers for creating such a simple but effective episode. Number 18, Family Guy, Running Mates.
Both of the acute angles, A and B, will always equal the sum of the squares of the other sides. Any questions?
Yes, perverted. Yes, offensive. But no, not inappropriate. Although we trash on Family Guy now for being very offensive or boring depending on who you ask, this episode also handled political topics well. It demonstrated that Peter has great intentions even though his actions may not be received well. Number 17, Camp Lazlo, Meat Man. Raj, let's be real. No, let's be real. They're clearly not hitting the ball in your direction. It's okay, buddy. Sit this one out. You get to play the winner. Camp Lazlo is one of my favorite series of all time. I can confirm that I'll be coming back to this series sometime later. I really did want to tackle this particular episode because out of all the episodes of Camp Lazlo, this is one of the most memorable. Everyone who I ask about Camp Lazlo, this seems to be one of the episodes that keeps coming up consistently. And why not? It's such a great choice. Although it retains a lot of horror elements, it's still rooted in this cartoonish, humorous root. Number 16, Penguins of Madagascar, I Was a Teenage Zombie. They spend a great majority of this chase scene pretty much playing through your horror zombie cliches.
Let me just slowly poke my head around this blind corner to make sure.
Penguins of Madagascar doesn't get the credit that it deserves. I don't really see too many reviews going around about this particular cartoon. I think a lot of people think that it's just in the middle, average, or maybe below average. I disagree. I love Penguins of Madagascar, and it really showed in its later season after it's been booted to Nicktoons. This was a part of my Halloween lineup, and it doesn't need to be Halloween for you to check it out. Number 15, Fanboy and Chum, present and not accounted for. All of these come together for a great episode. So when someone says that Fanboy and Chum is a bad series, remember every series has their duds, and this is definitely not one of them. And speaking of shows that increase in quality after being booted to Nicktoons, Fanboy and Chum. This gets a bad rep for being random and sugar high, no sense of pacing, but if you really look at this particular episode, not only is it heartwarming, but it shows that even the worst shows, or shows that get a poor reception, can still crank out a very good episode. This is one of my favorite episodes of Fanboy and Chum. Number 14, SpongeBob, Fools in April. There's a part of me that's saying, well, hey, Squidward, how do you expect him to react? But then I'd be reading your mind. And again, speaking of favorite April Fool's centered episodes, one of the classics, SpongeBob Fools in April. I think it goes without saying that this episode is really good. Too bad it was paired with an episode that's not so great. Number 13, The Angry Beavers, Bye Bye Beavers.
Norby, what happens when you're over?
Oh, it's not so bad.
No?
If a cartoon's good, even if it isn't, it's rerun incarnated.
Ooh, does that hurt?
No.
Oh.
Only when you get the later checks.
And that is what sets the Angry Beavers thing to respect over Teen Titans Go. Although not specifically a cartoon episode, more of a piece of audio, that should show you how great it is that it's still on the list. It's very cleverly written, it still holds up today, as you can see in the verses, and it handles breaking the fourth wall in a very mature way. Number 12, Square Peg, my 17th review.
Are you okay?
Uh-huh.
Well, as long as we're down here.
Well, that was Square Peg. Square Peg had to do with sexual education, and it was adult animation. And either through sheer luck or the fact that the 90s and 2000s haven't completely ruined adult animation for the majority of cartoons. But Square Peg, like Family Guy's Running Mates, is very mature, but it also has comedic value and shows very interesting characters. I highly recommend checking it out. Number 11, Bob's Burgers, Sacred Cow. I also like how they changed the burger of the day. Stuff like that usually goes unchanged. You know, they usually use the classic cartoon scribbles of illegible ambiguity. What? Well, this. I'll be honest, I was pretty skeptical going into Bob's Burgers, but a year later, and Bob's Burgers is up there with my favorites in adult animation. I will be coming back to Bob's Burgers sometime later this year, I really hope. And in the meantime, feel free to check it out. Number 10, The Loud House, Undie Pressure.
Good luck. Those are the ones that really ride up on ya.
Sure, Lori. You're just trying to mess with my... Hello! Yep, those are riding.
That probably satisfied someone's fanfiction. We were all skeptical of The Loud House a little bit. 1 boy, 10 girls. We already had Nikki, Ricky, Dickie, and Dawn. I think it's reasonable to say that Nickelodeon hasn't been the best when it came to multi-person centered cartoons, or kids shows in particular. Whether this was a miracle or just destined to be, Undie Pressure is a great way to introduce yourself into The Loud House. Although it is a little on the safe side, it's still a very entertaining episode, and I recommend all of you to go and check it out. Number 9, We Bare Bears, Panda Sneeze.
Hey, check this out.
There is no word in the dictionary for the amount of savagery. We Bare Bears is a really great show. From the first episode I've watched to episodes I see now, I've been in love with the 3 bears. And Panda Sneeze is a really great episode to highlight because it shows that you can take viral videos or memes and actually make a good episode. You don't need to be tacky, you don't need to be, pardon me, cringy, and you don't need to be trendy for the sake of being trendy. Number 8, Steven Universe, We Need to Talk. I would appreciate the mic drop more if they didn't completely forget about the mic when fusing. Did this mic kind of fuse together with Rose and... Across the board, for many people that I talk to, Steven Universe is considered a great cartoon. Although personally, I think a lot of people talk about it, and it is reasonable to see why. I personally wanted to highlight We Need to Talk, not only for the verses, but also because it was one of the first episodes I've seen of Steven Universe. I was pretty late to the party when it came to the explosion of positive reception for Steven Universe. Just like with the Loud House, just like with Bob's Burgers, I was pretty skeptical. This episode masters the art of communication. It's a very beautiful episode, and since it's one of the first episodes I've seen of the series, I'm really glad that I started off with this. Also, I do want to say that I'm coming back to Steven Universe sometime soon. Number 7, the Jimmy Timmy Power Hour movie, my 25th special.
I love this new smart-headed Jimmy.
And on that day, Timmy learned what is really Boji. This movie is a dream come true, and it's really sad to say that people of this generation might not have that type of TV movie crossover that takes one show that's really popular and another show that's really popular, and they did it 3 times. You better bet that I'm coming back to this again. It might not be the next movie or TV movie review that I'm doing, but rest assured that I am coming back to it sometime soon. But to people who haven't seen it or haven't seen either of the 2 series, I definitely recommend that you do still go out of your way to watch this. Number 6, The Amazing World of Gumball, The Downer. Now you may be wondering why this particular episode is so high, higher above Steven Universe, We Bare Bears, The Loud House, King of the Hill, SpongeBob. Well, one of the things that I argue in particular is that cartoons can have a simple top layer and a more complex bottom layer, and this particular episode mastered that art. The Amazing World of Gumball is known for diving into deeper topics, but this particular episode takes it to another level. On the top layer, it's Gumball escaping the darkness, and on the deeper level, it could be insecurity, depression, negative thoughts, anxiety, or whatever other mental illness you think it could be. And that's the beauty of this, because even if you wanted to say, no, that's not what happened, there's still that top layer, and you can enjoy it for just that. This episode, like the entire series, is versatile. It suits many needs. And it will be a very sad day when Cartoon Network stops airing this very, very great show. So I do recommend that you check out this episode before that day comes. Number 5, Gravity Falls, Tourist Trap. Actually, let's not, because knowing this show and its fan base, there's probably a lot of art with her. I don't want to know. I don't want to know. Don't send it to me. I'm not going to click any links. Don't send it to me. Yes, I like the pilot for Gravity Falls a lot better than the Steven Universe episode. This episode was beautiful. It took 2D animation and brought it to a whole new level. Just when you thought that 2D animation couldn't get any better, we get amazing cinematography, outstanding visuals, and great camera angles. The story wasn't half bad either. I had a lot of fun reviewing it, and I'm looking forward to finishing up the series. I'm quite behind at this time of recording. Number 4, Clarence, Ice Cream Hunt, my 45th review.
I forget things all the time. If I didn't write it down.
All of these are just filled with useless gibberish. Why would anyone save this?
So Larry forgets things all the time and has to write everything down, basically. I'm not just pulling this theory out of thin air. Clarence has a very special place in my heart. Although Gumball's The Downer had the top layer and bottom layer, what I like about Clarence is that not only does it master that, but the fact that no one is expecting Clarence to tackle such issues, they're still the underdog. I can't help but root for them even more. I love Larry as a character, and this episode is one of my favorites. I am one of the biggest advocates for Clarence Season 2. It's one of the reasons why I haven't given up on the series despite the creator. Number 3, We Bare Bears Burrito, my 5th review.
You're safe now. I hope he doesn't get too attached.
I would not change a single thing in this episode. When this episode of We Bare Bears came out, I went through great lengths to try to recommend for all of my friends to watch it. It also shows that you don't need to be a major story arc type series to handle such topics in a way that gets the audience emotionally invested. Everyone who's watched this particular episode loves it for the ending. This episode is what a lot of people consider SpongeBob's To Love or Patty done right. And if you are skeptical of We Bare Bears, instead of watching We Bare Bears Chloe, which is what a lot of people recommend, I personally recommend watching Burrito and Panda Sneeze. Number 2, Foster's Home for Imaginary Friends, Goodbye to Blue. This part always gets me. I can't do this episode justice. This is just one of those episodes that if you were a fan, it most likely would have got to you. Although it's been a long time since I have visited Foster's Home for Imaginary Friends in an actual review, I do want to say that I am looking forward to coming back to it again in the near future. This particular episode is hard to explain because it's the finale, and some people might be confused on why I chose for this particular episode to be the second thing that I review. In short, if you were a fan of Foster's Home for Imaginary Friends, Goodbye to Blue was the best way they could have ended the series. In fact, the ending scene still gets to me today. And with all the references to previous episodes interwoven into the episode itself, you better believe that this would be ranking high on the top 10 best things that I've ever reviewed. And number 1 goes to Clarence, Mystery Girl.
Those are some cool shoes.
Thank you.
This scene was very adorable. After reviewing one of the worst things I've ever watched, I still remember watching it to this day. A lot of new Clarence episodes was coming out at the time, and Cartoon Network has, and still has at the time of recording this practice of showing a lot of them in succession. I just saw Mystery Girl and it stuck to me. The fact that Clarence, a show that has been completely thrown to the side in favor for Gumball and Steven Universe, and it isn't even hated enough to be destroyed in video reviews like Teen Titans Go or the Powerpuff Girls reboot, this particular series can come out with an episode that describes long-distance relationships in such a way that I could not ignore this particular series. This was the episode that made me appreciate Clarence. Clarence the character, Clarence the cartoon, all of the people writing it. I might not be able to cover all of them, but if you were to watch just one, please check out Mystery Girl. It is a heartwarming episode, and it shows that even cartoons that are considered ugly can still be very beautiful. I hope this is not the last heartwarming episode we'll be seeing from Clarence, and it represents everything that I love about animation. In fact, all 20 of these particular episodes that I reviewed represent everything that I love about animation. I love having all of these choices, and I love the fact that my list was so varied. Unfortunately, for the other lists, you'll be seeing a lot of repeat offenders. I just wanted to get the positive one out of the way first. So thank you for watching this. I had a lot of fun recording this and editing this for you guys. Let me know what is the best things that I reviewed in your personal opinion. Put it in list form, put it in text. It doesn't matter, I'll be reading them all. Also, make sure to follow me on Twitter at the AlphaJay Show, and I have a public Discord. I try to be on there at least once a week. And as always, I hope your time is well spent, and Alpha out.